Hold on one second. We're about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dark Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we doing over here, baby. Let's go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back. I had a little bit of methylene blue today because I'm out of my iced coffee for the next probably 30 minutes. And I wanted to go back to the World Economic Forum, lizard people. Yeah. The closest thing you're going to find to a skinwalker, a demon, a shapeshifter is going to be within the ranks of the World Economic Forum. Yeah. All the other stuff that people want to see, you got to go to a place to see that thing. You want to see Bigfoot? You got to go to the place where Bigfoot be. You understand what I'm saying? You want to see a werewolf? You got to go to the place where the werewolves be. That don't mean they don't be there. You just got to go where they be. With that being said, if you want to get a look at the gathering of demonically infested, satanic, sold out vessels, you can find them anytime by looking at Parliament, by looking at Congress, by looking at Senate, and then following the golden thread all the way back to the World Economic Forum, from which they all are birthed, from which they all are spawned, like a video game. No, video games, they have the respawn where all the players start. The respawn for the demonic entities and demon-filled vessels is the World Economic Forum, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, I want to just start on this thing about what do they mean by sustainable development? And it's important that we grasp this concept, because they'd be like, well, we need to make sure that things are more sustainable. And you know, everything that in Satan's kingdom is an inversion of what's in the Lord's kingdom. So, number one, anything they say, they mean the opposite, because it's satanic in nature. It's no different than the upside down crucifix. In fact, when you hear them talking, I want you to visualize somebody taking a crucifix on your wall and turning it upside down, because that's what they're doing. They're going to turn everything upside down. The Bible says the devil comes not but to steal, kill, and destroy. And these are the stealers, the killers, and the destroyers. All right. Are we all on the same page? I think we are on the same page. Hello. Good morning. How are you? Now, we could go through all the everyday news and be like, yeah, Donald Trump, the kill mob, Reagan Garcia going to get out of prison. And we can go through the record, the other news like, oh, Jasmine Crockett running for Senate. But that ain't the news. That ain't the 100,000 foot view. Those are the little skirmishes on the battlefield where this person's fighting that person and this person's fighting that person. No. We are generals. We are not foot soldiers. So generals look at the battlefield from afar off and try and find out who you gonna hit in your prayer. Honestly, that's why I do these videos. So I can figure out who I'm gonna pray against and get access to the information. Let's listen to World Economic Forum lizard people explaining what they do. Come on, lizard.
Infinite growth on finite resources is not only a myth, but it's extractivist and ruthlessly oppressive by design. So when talking about growth and defending growth, there is a very important first question that we need to ask ourselves. Who are we growing this economy for? And what stories do we use to justify it? We have to acknowledge what lays below our growth. White supremacy, colonialism, and imperialism. White supremacy justifies a global system of exploitation and extractivism. Colonialism lays at the foundations of the European economy, institutions, corporate value chains, trade deals, investment agreements, and geopolitical structures of wealth accumulation, which means that there is no degrowth without decolonization. We need to take these conversations outside of these rooms and make sure that for all of the hundreds of fossil fuel lobbyists demanding growth, there are thousands of us demanding degrowth. We need to redistribute wealth, cancel climate debt, implement a universal basic income, massively invest in loss and damage funds, degrow the economy in high-income countries, increase universal public services, reduce working time, dematerialize, and reprioritize what it means to live a human life.
Do you realize what this heifer just said? Do you realize what this dirty, sandy beach just said? Dirty, sandy beach just said. Because there's times I'll say that fast and people are mistaken. When I'm like, this dirty, sandy beach, they'll take it the wrong way. You realize what she just said? I'll tell you what she just said. She just said, we need to steal, we need to kill, and we need to destroy. She just said it in a fancy way. We need to steal, we need to kill, we need to destroy. And then everybody clapped. Let me say this to all conservative white people that watch me. Your liberal counterparts are the devil. I'm just going to tell you, your liberal counterparts are Lucifer's children. If anybody clapped for anything she said, oh, growth is colonialism, it's racism, it's this. What? 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 I don't know what demon they released on white folk. I don't know what altar was erected against to get liberal white folks to lose their damn mind. But I got to say this to you. We need y'all conservative white people at this point in time. I need you to go ham. Because there's certain stuff that you're going to have to say. Y'all going to have to stop being so nice about this to these liberals. And that's what they bank on. They bank on the fact that you going to be quiet. Y'all going to have to stop being quiet, man. Yeah, y'all going to have to stop being. Y'all going to have to tell them about themselves. Because they going to kill us all. They're going to kill us all. They're going to tell them about themselves, man. And I ain't trying to make this race, but this is a racial thing. Y'all going to have to tell them, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. I want you to look at this crowd. Look at this. Look at this. Ain't a Negro in there. In fact, they go one way up there, possibly in the back, all the way up there. If you see my mouse. But ain't a Negro in there. It's a generation of crazy white liberals that's got to be dealt with. So she says she wants degrowth. Degrowth is depopulation. We need to pay off climate change debts. We need to go to universal basic income. A whole generation of these demons. Now, I've seen this clip 1,000 times. I probably showed it to you at least 10 times. I still haven't determined if this is a man or a woman. I'm not sure what the hell this thing is. But what this thing is talking about is the water, man. Keep watching the waters, man. The reason why water is so important is because it's the one resource that if they can grasp control of, if they can hold on to it, they can control the whole world. That's why Bill Gates is genetically modifying the sky to get control over where it will rain and where it can rain. That's why the Bill Clintons and the George Bush families went down to South America and bought up all the water reservoirs around the world. They've been doing this for damn near 20 years. Now we're at the point where they're rolling it out. Degrowth, sustainability, shareholders or stakeholder capitalism. And I've said this 1,000 times. We are the shareholders in this earth. We are the stakeholders in this earth because we are the one who's got the inheritance from the Lord, the ones that Jesus Christ died for to give back the dominion. And it's almost as if people don't realize that that's what he died for. To save to establish salvation. It's almost as if people think it stops right there at salvation. Well, I got baptized, I'm saved. I got christened, I'm saved. I got confirmed, I'm saved. And that's their only responsibility or duty to the kingdom of heaven, to the one that saved you, to the one that gave you eternal life. Like, you don't need to be learning nothing about that life. Let's do a giant woosah. We're going to hear this man, he, she, thee, they, them.
In our nation and globally. And did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems, which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. You know, climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably other times? And hopefully we won't keep failing on the other things, but anyway.
Your demon, you gonna fail. Hold on, let me get this demon and look up. Look up your damn demon. Look up, demon. Look at me, demon. There you go. Look at that damn demon. Look at me, demon. There it is. Look at that damn demon right there. Look at that demon. The water don't belong to you, demon. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and it belongs to all of us. The heavens are the Lord's, but the earth belongeth to the children of men. And this is where we're going to have to fight with these demons, man. If I could have a sit down with Donald Trump, I would say 10 minutes. The first thing I would say is, Donald, you need to fund with federal US dollars, black budget funding, a Christian World Economic Forum. And you need to find people. And if he said, well, I will task you to, you find the people, I'll task you to, I will go find people who are smart enough, who are intelligent enough to directly combat them. And then I will make sure those people are learned Christians who study the Bible, who study the Kings, who study warfare. And then that group would make direct war with them on every front. That group will go out and recruit individuals and bring them through and teach them the faith of God and teach them how to do warfare, and then dispatch them into positions of power. That group would have its own military arm, the same way these people have their own military arm. And if you played around, you get your head bust the same way they bust heads. The problem is there's no organized structure that meets their structure head on. And that's what's necessary. You have to meet these people head on. These are the giants. These are the modern day Nephilim that everybody's ignoring because in the book of Enoch they talk about there were giants in those days. James, do you know about the giants? Huh? Have you heard about the giants? Matter of fact, watch this. And this is where I get a little agitated. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say none of that. I shouldn't say none of what I was about to say. This is where I get a little agitated because the warrior mentality of our Christian faith has been bled out of us. Like, if satanic groups penetrate churches, Christians should be penetrating satanic groups to curse and destroy their rituals. If satanic World Economic Forum groups penetrate business, Christians should be penetrating business. In fact, it's taken so long for us to come to this conclusion that we need to do this, that God has kind of already has his prophets talking about it being done now. I noticed that yesterday. But it's something that we as Christians We should have known this. And I say we should have known this.
This notion to integrate young leaders is part of the World Economic Forum since many years. When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the president, who is a young global leader, but...
Question et commentaire, questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I listened to my colleague's speech. I had a constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WEF, World Economic Forum, has, quoted, infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. And I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad, and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honourable member for Timmins James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, that member is promoting open disinformation. That's not debate. We have to call out disinformation.
We'll get into debate again. The honourable member, questions and comments. The honourable member for Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
You have to choose now between Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why?
Because Westminster is too constrained, and it's closed, and we're not having meaning. Once you get out of Westminster, whether it's Davos or anywhere else, you actually engage with people that you can see working with in the future. Westminster is just a tribal shouting place.
See what I mean? And it's one of those things that we inherently know. We who are awake inherently know. But it's like there needs to be a proactive plan. Like when I look at Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and Milo Yiannopoulos and Tim Pool and Nick Fuentes and all these young up and coming podcasters who are extremely intelligent people, and I see them practicing their influence and pushing a narrative, what scares me for the future is they haven't established anything. Like, you've established a voice, but you haven't established anything that can birth, anything that's going to come through your womb. In fact, the best way to put it is this. Charlie Kirk in Turning Point USA established something that should be birthing forth young politicians, right? That's being torn down at this point in time with all this arguing and fighting and fussing in America first versus this and this and this is this. They all need to sit in a room and have a conversation and fight it out, box it out, stab it out, shoot it out, argue it out, and then get back to birthing young leaders and putting them into positions. And in fact, Turning Point USA is that thing that I'm talking about. The more I think about what I said, it's already there. It's just that I don't know. Maybe I don't know. And I'm not up on. I'm gonna have to get back to my homegirl and have her bring me up to speed on a Turning Point USA drama. but it's the perfect vehicle. You take those same chapters, those same students, and you force them into government. But they have to get a strong foundation in faith. So if I had Turning Point USA, Dr. Francis Miles would go into Turning Point USA and teach. If I had Turning Point USA, Michael Oropo, John Anosuke, what's the guy's name in Florida? They all will go into that environment and teach. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about you come to class. You come to School of the Spirit. You come in and it's a classroom environment and you sit down and you get a test. Because our faith is not taken that way. See, once your faith transitions to, I did the Bible study and I read the Bible, or I went to church to, no. Let's quantify what I've learned from the Bible. Let's take a quiz. In fact, somebody be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, James. Let me show you. Like, this is on our website, strongmenpraying.com. This is for members of our Bible study lessons. These are tests you have to take. Like, you got to take the test. Because you can sit there and listen and be like, I felt good. And it's real narcissistic. I feel good. I had the opportunity to come to Bible study. I engaged with the Spirit of God, blah, blah, blah. I feel good today. And then you don't walk away with the understanding. So you take the test. Take the test. And then now once you leave out that environment and you need to explain something to somebody, you know what it is. You know, you've mastered that material. And mastery is one of the issues that I see that we have. Now, I can't quantify for you, ladies and gentlemen, everything that needs to be done. But there has to be an infrastructure that must rival the infrastructure of the enemy. Just like there must be a media that rivals the media of the enemy. It's growing right now. You can see it all around us. The lifting up of a media to rival the mainstream media. And then you saw it kind of the tide come up and the wave swamp the mainstream media. It's happening everywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. One on the James Williams Dark Waters, I'm out.